Big story we are breaking at this hour. Let's take a look at these developments from the Apex Court, where the Supreme Court of India has issued a notice on Maharashtra government's plea against the acquittal of 13 accused. Court has granted interim stay on the judgment only to the extent that judgment cannot be treated as a precedent. Stay is not on the release of the accused here who've been acquitted. Court has noted all accused have been released, no question of bringing them back. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta also did not seek that accused be brought back to jail. I'm going to go straight across to Shrishti Ojha for more details on that story. Break this down for us. Tell us what happened in the court as far as the Mumbai terror blast from 2006 is concerned. Shrishti.
Well, as we know, 12 accused were recently acquitted by the Bombay High Court in the 2006 Mumbai terror bomb blast case. That particular order was then challenged by the Maharashtra government before the Supreme Court. Now, today when the hearing happened, we saw Solicitor General Tushar Mehta himself point this out, that as far as matters of liberty is concerned, the stay is not usually granted. He also clarified that all the accused have already been released. So he is not seeking any particular order with regard to bringing them back to jail. However, the state is seeking a stay on the order in the interim, limited to the aspect of the observations that have been made by the High Court, which can affect the other pending trials as far as the MCOCA trials are concerned. Post that, as far as this particular interim plea of the state is concerned, the Supreme Court did issue notice to the respondents in this case and clarified that all accused have been released. Therefore, there's no question of bringing them back as an interim release. However, the court did agree that as far as the question of law, to the extent of this particular judgment being a precedent is concerned, there will be a stay on the impugned Bombay High Court judgment, but only.
See, what does the notice then say? Please explain this to us, given that there's going to be no bearing on the people who were accused and now, now they've been acquitted.
Our same and particular judgment is challenged. This one where an acquittal was granted, the Supreme Court in this case will have to analyze on the legal questions as to whether the acquittal was legally valid, whether the question of law in this particular case was answered correctly by the Bombay High Court. But in the interim, since an interim release was also sought by the state in this particular case, and as an interim release, no accused will have to go back to the jail. The main question of whether their acquittal was valid, whether their acquittal would stay and maintain, would now be decided in the main matter, which would be heard eventually. So the notice basically means that the respondents in this case, the accused who have been released, will have to file a response to the Maharashtra government's plea, and eventually a detailed hearing. Eventually the hearings would take place, and then eventually the top court would decide whether or not the acquittal in this case was valid or not. Back to you.
Already questions have been raised on the matter, Shrishti, isn't it, and how this entire matter was investigated, with the Bombay High Court also coming down heavily, saying that the investigations weren't done the way it should have been done, isn't it?
The bench of the High Court, which gave this particular acquittal judgment, also said that the prosecution in this case utterly failed to prove the charges and observed that it was hard to believe that the accused committed any crime. They also highlighted certain allegations of torture by the ATS officials and said that the investigators appeared to have been under pressure to deliver quick results after the attack. So all these aspects, all these observations by the High Court will also now be under scrutiny as far as the Supreme Court is concerned. So even when yesterday this matter was mentioned, we saw the Chief Justice of India remark that stay of acquittal is rarest of rare. It's extremely rare, and the State Council told court that maybe they would be able to convince the court that this is one of the rarest of rare cases where the court should grant a stay on acquittal. So once a response comes in from the respondents and the Supreme Court has a detailed hearing, it will be very important to see how the state defends this particular case, because as the top court has itself pointed out, managing to get a stay once an acquittal has already been ordered by a court is extremely difficult. So the Maharashtra government will definitely have to put a very strong case and justify that the investigation by the prosecution was in fact correct and the acquittal was wrong.
Right, I'm going to leave it at that for the moment. Shrishti Ojha getting us up to speed with those details. Remember, 189 people had died in the Bombay blast that took place in the year 2006. All of those accused were acquitted recently, with the Bombay High Court saying that there is no evidence against them, also commenting and lamenting on the manner in which the investigations were done. Today, the apex court has said essentially that there is a stay on this order, but there is no need to bring back the accused, or rather now the acquitted, back to jail.